purpose.
The Supernova. 11 characters, all part of the new generation, each one singled out by the world government as a threat, and although they've been in the story for a while, I think Oda's barely scratched the surface with them. The Supernova were essentially introduced to provide competition for Luffy within his own generation. These guys are the future of piracy, and although I say we've barely scratched the surface, like Blackbeard said, this arc is most likely going to kickstart the Throne Wars just due to the sheer scale of everything that's going on. In the first act alone, we've already seen Luffy and Zoro, obviously, Hawkins, who's working under Kaido, Law, who's working with Luffy, and Kid, who's still in prison. But there's also speculation that we're going to see Apu and X-Drake due to their connections with Kaido, as well as Killer simply because Kid is probably going to need a crew. Some people also speculate that we will see the rest of the Supernova as well, but even if that doesn't happen, that would already be 8 out of the 11 Supernova, all gathered in one location, which is hype as fuck because we haven't seen this many Supernova grouped together since Sabaody when they were first introduced, and we all know how that shit went down. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like Act 2 and Act 3 of Wano is gonna have a lot of scenes that are very reminiscent of Sabaody. Seeing the Supernova banding together to overcome overwhelming odds, whether it be willingly like Luffy and Law's alliance, or because it's their only option, which I think is going to be the case with Luffy and Kid. They both know firsthand what Kaido's capable of, they're locked up in a cell next to each other, and they both want revenge. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we saw a temporary alliance between Kid and Luffy to escape prison, and maybe even until the end of Wano. And I honestly think it will be dope to see the big three fighting alongside each other again like they did in Sabaody, but massive emphasis on the word temporary though, because as I said, these guys were introduced into the story to serve as competition, and that's obviously not possible if they're all allies.
Power.
Now, the reason why I think this arc is going to start the Throne Wars is because of the power vacuum it's going to create and because of who it is creating it. The way I see it, no matter what, the world is going to be different after Wano. If Wano is saved from Kaido and opens its borders, then that creates a massive threat to the world government due to all the history and connections that Wano has to the poneglyphs and the secrets buried about the Void Century. And the world government are currently hosting a reverie, meaning they can't focus their forces to prevent this from happening, because they got to deal with Dragon and the revolutionaries. Then you have Kaido about to start a war with the people that the world government deem to be the biggest threat to their future, and on top of that you're gonna have Big Mom trespassing on Kaido's territory to continue her fight with Luffy, which in turn pits her against Kaido cause she's invading his territory. So I think the thing everyone needs to be prepared for is that we're gonna see a Yonko fall this arc. Everyone's been trying to tell me that a Yonko won't fall, but shit. People were saying that Kaido wasn't even going to be on Wano, and yeah. But yeah, like I said, prepared to see a Yonko fall, and although I prefer Kaido to Big Mom, it's probably Kaido that's going to go down. Not only has he been our target since Punk Hazard and the whole reason why Luffy and Law allied in the first place, but after this war's been started, he's pretty much served his purpose. He's a hot-headed drunk with suicidal tendencies whose entire reason for living at this point is to create an army of Zoans and start the biggest war the world has seen. Mission accomplished. But unlike the last time a Yonko fell, we don't have an up-and-coming pirate like Blackbeard with the power to instantly fill that void. Either another Yonko grows in power by claiming all of his old territory and treasure, or the Supernova do. So that's when we start getting into who out of the Supernova will be the biggest contenders. You've got Luffy, Law and Kid as the three who stand out most, but then you've also got wildcards like Rouge and Drake. And although I do think they will all play their own role in this, I think the two that we need to focus on will be Luffy and Kid. I get the feeling that in the aftermath of Wano, we'll end up seeing Luffy and Kid fighting it out. The world will be watching, and any Supernova that wasn't around for Wano will probably see this and know that the time has come. And if I'm being honest with you, I think Kid will get the better out of the situation. And the reason why I think this is because he is made to be Luffy's competition. Not only was he the only Supernova pre-time skip with a higher bounty than Luffy, but they are also the only two people who have another Supernova in their crew. While Blackbeard's crew parallels Luffy to set up competition from the old generation, Kid's crew parallels Luffy to set up competition from the new era. And seeing as this is the first time that they've been reunited since Kid's introduction, he hasn't had any time to be that competition for Luffy yet. So if Luffy straight up wins their first confrontation and is already the most powerful Supernova, then what's the point? Remember, this is just round 1. Luffy will eventually get that rematch and assert himself as number 1 of the new generation, but I think this power struggle between them will be present as we continue from island to island after Wano, and the power-ups they get will reflect that. Maybe the conclusion of the power struggle between them will lead directly into Luffy versus Blackbeard stuff, when the Throne Wars is finally coming to an end.
Paradise.
So yeah, I know it's vague, but predicting anything with any certainty at this point is pretty much impossible. But I do quickly want to give my thoughts on what I think the world of One Piece will be like after the Throne Wars though, seeing as I think the final war of One Piece will be with the world government after Luffy has reached Raftel and uncovered the true history. I think Luffy will make this knowledge public, seeing as he's big on the whole freedom and allowing people to make their own choice kind of thing. And I think that this will honestly split the world into 2 sides, those that are with the world government and those against it. Some countries who have had the favor of the world government in the past will most likely fight with them in hopes of keeping that favor once the war is done, and those who have been enslaved and all of that will most likely fight against them, and Luffy ultimately wins. One thing that everyone says that I disagree with though is that there won't be a world government after the final war, and I disagree with that because it kind of makes certain characters useless then, because people like Kobe for example, whose entire storyline is about being an admiral, the world government just disappears, then all of that was for nothing. And also because I don't think Luffy winning magically removes all the bad guys from the world. Pirates will still be pirates, so you will still need a group to keep the peace for the citizens. The only difference would be the leadership. People like Smoker, Fujitora, Kobe will likely lead the world government in a better direction, still hunting down pirates, but for the right reasons this time. And I think Luffy will have his own little paradise towards the end of the new world where him and his alliance can live completely free. And I could kind of see Kid becoming the Shiki of this era if I'm being honest, and the other supernova govern over their territory similar to how the Yonko did. And yeah, life goes on.